Ladies, you think he didn't notice? The truth is, he saw everything. Not just your looks, not just your laugh. He saw the moment you looked away and dropped your smile. You think men don't pay attention? You're wrong. It's not the loud things they see, it's the hidden ones. Today, I'll reveal the 8 silent signals you're sending without even knowing it. Because while you're perfecting your lipstick, he's watching how you treat the waitress. While you post your best angle, he remembers how you looked when you were lost in thought. This isn't about dating, attraction, or seduction. This is about what's real, the truth beneath the polish, and the power you didn't know you held. So if you're a woman who wants to understand what men truly remember about you, or a man who's felt these things but never said them, stick around. Because the most important thing about you isn't what you say, it's what you don't even know you're showing. It notices the way she brushes her hair back, not when she's on a date or in front of a mirror, but when she's not performing. That small unconscious movement, when her fingers sweep behind her ear or when she tucks a loose strand without thinking, tells more about her than an entire conversation. It's subtle, but in that second, she's unguarded. And men, at least the ones who truly observe, remember it. Not because it's dramatic, but because it's real. That tiny gesture carries energy. It reveals her mood, her love of comfort, even the way she views herself in that moment. Is it shy and hesitant, confident and quick? Is she fidgeting out of nervousness, or calmly adjusting without breaking eye contact? The world teaches women to perform, to posture, to calculate what angle to pose at, what tone to speak in, what version of femininity to project. But these micro movements escape the performance. They leak truth. And that truth, because it's not manufactured, has weight. A man may not consciously analyze the motion, but he feels something. It registers, not in words, not in logic, but in a quiet part of him that knows when something is authentic. It's in these brief glimpses, often in the spaces between words, where a connection is born. He watches her brush her hair back, and suddenly he sees her as a person, not a role. He senses the girl she used to be when she stood in the kitchen barefoot at 15, talking to her mom while waiting for the kettle to boil. He senses the way she might act 10 years from now in the early morning, reaching for her coffee before anyone else wakes up. He doesn't know why, but it stays with him. 1,000 women could enter the room after her, each dressed sharper, each more commanding, but his memory will cling to the one who brushed her hair back in silence, lost in thought, unaware of her own poetry. There's something profound about what we do when we think no one is watching, because the truth is, someone often is, not in a creepy or voyeuristic way, but in a human way, a deeply attentive way. Some men are more emotionally awake than they let on. They are not all distracted or surface bound. The kind of man who is building something, whether it's a life, a business, or his own inner self, he notices. Not because he's trying to catch or slip, but because he knows that's where the gold is. The gesture of brushing back hair, so easily dismissed, becomes symbolic. It's not about the motion, it's about what it says, that she has layers, that beneath the voice and clothes and curated exterior is a living, breathing, feeling being, and that, more than anything she could wear, is what draws him in. He notices how she laughs. Not the loud, performative kind that echoes in a crowded room, but the small, unguarded laughs that slip out when she forgets to measure herself. He hears the difference between laughter that's designed to please and laughter that is simply real. That moment when she doesn't look around for approval, doesn't tilt her head for charm, doesn't soften the sound for polish. That kind of laugh, the involuntary kind, is pure signal. It breaks the surface. It reveals who she is beneath the mask. There's something in the tone, the cadence, the split-second vulnerability that comes with it. When a woman laughs genuinely, her entire being shifts. Her body relaxes. Her face lights in a way that can't be faked. The tension in her shoulders disappears, and for just that second, she's herself. And that, whether she knows it or not, is the part he remembers. That sound becomes imprinted in his memory like a line in a favorite song. Not because it's loud, but because it carries truth. Some women have been taught to use laughter as a tool to signal interest, to soften tension, to maintain harmony, to disarm. But that kind of laughter is filtered. It serves a function, not a feeling. And while it might pass an everyday social dance, it doesn't leave a mark. It's the moment she forgets to censor, to curate, to control. The moment something funny hits her and she reacts without thinking, that's when he sees her. There's also timing. He notices when she laughs at things that aren't funny to her, when she fills awkward space with polite chuckles, when she nods along and throws in soft laughs just to make others feel comfortable. And though these might seem like harmless social habits, they say more than she realizes. They reveal what she's willing to sacrifice, her authenticity, for the comfort of the room. That too is a message, that she feels the need to be agreeable rather than honest, that she's holding back. But when she truly lets go, when her laughter stumbles out, when it catches her off guard, when her hand instinctively goes to her chest or her head tilts back, that's when he connects. That's when he feels pulled toward her, even if he doesn't know why. Because in that sound is the rawness of joy, the unfiltered presence of a soul enjoying a moment. And that's rare. He might not remember the details of her outfit or what she said during dinner, but he'll remember the laugh she let slip when she wasn't trying to be anything. It will play back in his mind, tied to the feeling of her being real. That, to a man who listens with more than his ears, is the kind of intimacy that no performance can replicate. He notices how she is when she's alone in a room, even if just for a minute. Before the conversation begins, before the eyes turn to her, there's a space where she exists unobserved, or so she thinks. That's the moment he watches. How she carries herself when no one is asking her to perform. Is she fidgeting with her phone, glancing around nervously, trying to occupy space? Or is she calm, rooted in herself, not needing validation or attention to feel steady? A woman's confidence in solitude is a quiet but powerful signal. It doesn't announce itself, but it resonates deeply. Most people can project confidence when surrounded by energy, by conversation, by movement, but when the noise fades and the spotlight isn't on them, a different kind of truth appears. In solitude, the ego has nothing to cling to, and it's in that raw space that a man pays close attention. He's not looking for perfection, he's sensing presence. Some women seem to disappear when left alone, as if their value shrinks without an audience. Others remain exactly who they are, whether watched or not. That kind of groundedness is rare and magnetic. He sees how she holds her posture, how she sits when she thinks no one's watching, how her eyes move across the room, not to scan for approval, but simply to observe. There's strength in that stillness. A woman who is at ease with herself doesn't reach for fillers. She doesn't rush to engage. She doesn't perform small acts of insecurity. She just is. And that presence, quiet as it may be, has the weight of something unshakable. It's not about arrogance or being aloof. It's the opposite. It's humility without self-doubt. A comfort that comes from knowing who you are, not needing the room to remind you. And that's what he sees. That's what separates her from others who are louder, flashier, more outwardly impressive. She owns her space without needing to defend it. That communicates more than any clever word or elegant outfit ever could. Some men are drawn to noise and sparkle, but the ones who are building themselves, who understand value, they notice this deeper layer, because confidence in solitude suggests emotional independence. It hints at self-respect, discipline, and the ability to be okay without needing to constantly be seen. It tells him that her identity isn't constructed from reaction, but from intention. And in that quiet confidence, he sees someone who won't just follow, she'll walk beside. Someone who won't vanish in silence, but rather become even more present. That matters more than charm, more than beauty, more than performance. Because in a world of noise, the woman who's strong in stillness stands out, not for what she shows, but for what she doesn't need to prove. He notices how she reacts in moments of tension, those quick, unscripted flashes when things don't go as planned, the awkward silence after someone says the wrong thing, the delay in service at a restaurant, the missed call that turns into a small argument. These are the tests that reveal the unseen parts of a person. And while many women believe men are only paying attention to appearance or charm, the truth is, these are the moments that speak the loudest. Because under pressure, filters slip. The mask of social grace thins out, and the real personality steps forward. He doesn't just observe what she says, he registers how she says it. Does she lash out when something small goes wrong? Does she roll her eyes, sigh dramatically, or become dismissive when she feels discomfort? Or does she pause, breathe, choose words carefully, and stay grounded? Emotional intelligence isn't about being passive or always agreeable. It's about having control. Without control controlling you, when she's able to remain composed without suppressing herself, that balance speaks of inner strength. It's rare, and men notice it more than they admit. There is a unique beauty in a woman who can face discomfort without panic, a woman who can feel awkward and not let it define her behavior. He notices how she handles moments when someone says something offensive, not to her directly, but to someone else. Does she freeze, brush it off, or take a stand with grace? Emotional intelligence isn't loud. It's not a lecture or a reaction. It's a decision to stay anchored, to be aware of others without losing yourself, to navigate difficulty without creating more of it. And that awareness, even in something as small as a delayed drink order or a tense social exchange, reveals volumes about her character. He also sees how she manages her own emotions. When her plans fall apart, does she spiral? Does she need immediate reassurance? Or does she reflect, recalibrate, and move forward with clarity? These aren't traits that show up in selfies or captions. They show up in how she walks through the world, and they become deeply etched in his memory. Because while beauty can draw his eyes, Composure under pressure earns his respect. When a woman can move through high-stress moments with presence and self-respect, it signals maturity. It tells him she won't just be fun when things are easy, she'll be strong when things are hard. And that's the kind of strength that builds trust. Not because she's unshakable, but because she knows how to return to herself even when shaken. He sees all of this, even if he can't articulate it. It leaves an impression that doesn't fade, not because she tried to impress, but because she revealed what can't be faked when the moment gets real. He notices when what she says doesn't match what she does, not out of judgment, but out of curiosity. When a woman speaks of kindness, but treats the barista with cold impatience. When she talks about wanting honesty, but avoids hard truths. When she says she values growth, but stays in comfort zones, blaming others for her stagnation, these quiet contradictions don't go unnoticed. He might not comment, but he sees them. Because a woman's values are not in her words, they live in her habits, her choices, her repeated patterns. Men may not express it often, but they crave consistency, not perfection, consistency, the kind that builds trust without having to ask for it. When she tells him she values loyalty, he watches how she speaks about others behind their backs. When she says she's independent, he observes how she handles situations where she doesn't get her way. When she says she respects herself, he watches who she allows to disrespect her. Her actions, small and routine, confirm or contradict the story she tells about herself. And for the man who's paying attention, this tells him more than any deep conversation. Consistency of values is magnetic, not because it's flawless, but because it shows alignment. A woman who knows what she believes and lives by it, even when no one is watching, radiates a kind of quiet power. Her decisions aren't dictated by moods or who's in the room. They come from an internal compass, not external pressure. And that inner calibration is rare, especially in a world where shifting personas are the norm. Someone grounded in their own truth becomes unforgettable. He notices when she holds boundaries, not just with him, but with everyone. When she says no with clarity, not cruelty. When she makes time for what matters without apologizing for it. These are signs of someone who lives in alignment with what they claim to value. And that alignment builds trust faster than charm, because charm fades, consistency stays. It's not about being rigid or never changing. In fact, he also notices when she evolves, when she revises outdated beliefs or admits when she was wrong. But even that evolution comes from a commitment to truth, not convenience. She's not trying to appear right, she's trying to be real. And that matters deeply to a man who's looking not just for beauty or excitement, but for something stable, something honest. Every time she makes a decision, she tells him who she really is, not in announcements or declarations, but in the little things. The way she handles frustration, the way she keeps her word, the way she lives when she thinks no one's keeping score. And though she might not realize it, he's paying attention, not to judge her, but to understand her. Because consistency of values isn't just attractive, it's what makes trust possible and connection lasting. He notices how she fills a room when she isn't speaking. Long before she opens her mouth, before she shares an opinion or flashes a smile, her presence has already said something. It's in her posture, her breathing, the calm or chaos she brings with her. Most women don't realize it. But silence doesn't make them invisible, it reveals them. A man who's perceptive, who doesn't just look but sees, is drawn to this subtle energy. The woman who knows how to be still, who doesn't need constant motion or noise to feel significant, radiates a kind of quiet strength that can't be forced. There's a difference between someone who is silent because she's unsure and someone who is silent because she's secure. That difference is deeply felt. One shrinks, hoping not to be noticed. The other simply is, not needing to prove anything. Her energy doesn't demand attention, it commands it, without trying, without effort, just by being present in a way that feels grounded. It's not loud, it's not flashy, it's not strategic. It's the result of self-possession. A woman who belongs to herself. Whether or not anyone else is watching, he notices how she listens, really listens, not waiting for her turn to talk, not reacting to every opinion like it's a challenge, but absorbing, considering, weighing the room with quiet awareness. That kind of listening isn't passive, it's powerful, it creates space, it shows she's not threatened by silence, that she's not addicted to performance, that she's not competing for the spotlight because she's already rooted in her own light. She doesn't fidget to fill the gap. She doesn't overlaugh or over-explain. She knows that real connection happens not just in words, but in presence. The kind of presence that makes others feel safe, seen, and subtly challenged to show up more authentically. A man may not be able to articulate what he's feeling in her silence, but he feels it all the same. It stays with him. The way she walked into the room, made eye contact, and didn't rush to decorate the moment with noise. There's a kind of femininity in that silence that speaks louder than any script. It's not detached, it's deeply tuned in. It's the kind of presence that reveals emotional maturity, not because she knows all the answers, but because she's not afraid of not knowing. He notices how she holds that space, how she can be quiet without withdrawing, how her stillness adds rather than subtracts from the energy around her. Many women underestimate the value of their silent presence. They think they need to be entertaining or expressive to matter. But the woman who can simply be, without apology, without armor, without pretending, leaves a far greater impression, not because she tried to stand out, but because in the stillness, she became unforgettable. They are fooling themselves. They're going to get found. All they have to do is underfoot is exit. So here's the truth. While many women spend time perfecting how they look, what truly captures a man's attention is how she moves through the world when she's not trying to be seen. It's not the bold lipstick, the rehearsed confidence, or the curated image. It's the unconscious gestures, the tone of her laugh when it's real, the way she sits with herself in silence. He notices the contradictions between her words and her actions, the way she responds to stress, the grace she holds in discomfort. These are not grand performances, they're quiet truths. And the kind of man who is truly paying attention doesn't fall for the surface. He's drawn to the substance she didn't know she was showing, because the most powerful thing about a woman isn't what she reveals on purpose, it's what she reveals when she's just being herself. That's what stays with him. That's what he remembers, long after everything else fades.